variety of devices similar to the salbutamol inhalers, the relievers, and the preventers are what we call the cornerstone of asthma therapy. In other words, anyone who has asthma diagnosed should be on an inhaled steroid, which is a preventer, prevents asthma attacks, prevents the symptoms of asthma, and they should be on them all year round, ideally. So the preventer inhalers come as preventer in their own right, or they can come in a combination of inhaled corticosteroid with a long-acting reliever. I'll be talking about long-acting relievers in the next video. So if we just concentrate today on the inhaled steroid. So this is the first sort of step that we use in asthma management, and anyone with diagnosed asthma should be on one of these inhalers at the very least. So looking at the inhalers that we have, there are inhaled steroids called beclometasone, budesonide, fluticasone and mometasone. The beclometasone inhaler is known as a trade name Clenil, or Sofrabec is another name. And years ago it used to be called Becotide, but that was then discontinued and it became Clenil. So this, for a normal child's dose, would be 100 micrograms twice a day, or for an adult, so in the United Kingdom asthma guidelines, an adult is defined as anyone over the age of 12, so above 12 years of age, would be on 200 micrograms twice a day, ideally 12 hours apart so that you get 24 hours cover. So beclometasone dipropionate is the molecule, that's the generic name, and then as with all other inhalers, when a company makes a particular device containing that particular ingredient, it becomes their own trade name. So beclometasone dipropionate comes as an inhaler. It's brown or light brown depending on the dose. So if it's a 50 microgram dose, it'd be a light brown in this sort of device, a metered dose inhaler, or the 200 microgram dose and the 100 microgram doses are in a darker brown. They are used in the same way as using the salbutamol inhaler, in that they're an aerosol. Sometimes come with a dose counter, sometimes don't, so it may not always be easy to know how much you have left. Before use, they should always be shaken. Take the dust cap off, inspect it for any foreign bodies, as long as it's nice and clear, no crumbs, no dust, backs of earrings if it's been in the bottom of your handbag, something like this. Then exhale, start breathing in and inhale, keep breathing to the top of the breath and hold for a count of 10. Any of those parts that are missing from that inhaler technique, or you're not able to do because the symptoms are a bit more severe, so breathless, coughing, wheezing, this is much better used with a spacer device. So see my video about using spacer devices with a metered dose inhaler. So this comes as Sofrabec or Clenil when it's the trade name for beclometasone dipropionate. Now, there is another inhaler that contains beclometasone dipropionate, and the company call it Qvar. So Qvar looks like this when it comes in a metered dose inhaler, and Qvar in one of these devices is about 1.5 to twice as potent as the beclometasone dipropionate that's in Clenil or Sofrabec. So we tend to prescribe it at half the dose that we would prescribe it in the normal generic beclometasone dipropionate usual strength. This is only licensed above the age of 12, so adults only, and it's a metered dose inhaler, doesn't come with a dose counter on it. Again, shake, exhale fully, be careful to inspect for any foreign bodies inside it, and then hold the breath for a count of 10, or use this with a spacer device, such as one like this, or one like this. All aerosols can be used with the spacer devices. Dry powders cannot be used with spacer devices, and dry powders are arguably a lot easier to use. So Going back to the inhaled steroids, we've looked at beclometasone dipropionate, normal dose, and the extra fine particles that are thought to get further down into the lungs and therefore perhaps be absorbed more readily. So the QVAR is only licensed for over 12s, so that's adults only in the UK asthma guidelines, and ideally should be used with a spacer so that you get a proper full dose down rather than it sitting on the back of the tongue and in the back of the throat. So QVAR also comes in the autohaler. Do you remember in the last video, short-acting bronchodilators, the autohaler contains Aeromir, A-I-R-O-M-I-R. Aeromir is the trade name for salbutamol in this particular device, the autohaler. So in this particular device, QVAR comes in this, and shake it. Remember to take the dust cap off. It's a bit like a shoe or a boot. Lift the lever up, breathe out. Check there's nothing inside the mouthpiece and breathe in. As it clicks, you continue breathing through the device and inhale and hold the breath for a count of 10. So that's QVAR, twice as potent as the normal beclometasone dipropionate usual dose, and it comes in this device called the autohaler. Now, QVAR also comes in the Easy Breathe device. So it's another device that contains QVAR, which is extra fine particles of beclometasone dipropionate. Shake. This you operate by dropping the mouthpiece down, exhale, inhale and breathe through the puff as it delivers the dose. So keep on breathing in and hold the breath for a count of 10. So this is another aerosol device. Check for foreign bodies. No, it's nice and clear. Breathe out, breathe in and hold for a count of 10. Put the dust cap back up, put it next to, I always say, preventers. The easiest way to remember them is put them next to your toothbrush or next to your kettle, something you're going to do in the morning and in the evening as well that will remind you, or put an alert on your phone if that's easier. So put that back where it's going to be used twice a day. So they're the aerosol inhalers. There's one other made by another company. The molecule is fluticasone. So it's another aerosol device. It's fluticasone, comes in one of these, and the colour is that colour orange, because that is the colour that the particular company who makes this device, which I'll show you in a moment, their fluticasone in this aerosol inhaler is called Flixotide. It contains fluticasone, and again this is twice as potent as normal beclometasone, so it's prescribed at half the dose, so you get equivalent inhaled steroid in each dose. So fluticasone, or Flixotide as it's known when it's in the orange inhaler like this device, comes in the 50 microgram dose, the 125 microgram dose, 250 microgram dose, and you either have 1 or 2 puffs twice a day of this particular inhaler, just depending on what your prescriber, your physician has suggested and what they've advised. So that's that particular inhaler. So that's another aerosol. So now we'll look at the dry powder devices of the most commonly seen preventer inhalers. So staying with the fluticasone, an inhaled steroid made by this company, is called Flixotide, and this is the dry powder device. It's called an AccuHaler, and you put your thumb in there, slide it open, slide the lever down, which opens the mouthpiece. Check for foreign bodies, can't see anything there. Breathe out, breathe in, and hold the breath for a count of 10. Now usually you would have 1 dose twice a day of that particular inhaler, and it has a dose counter on it. It counts down from 120 doses or 60 doses down to 0, and the last 5 doses are in red. So just check on it when you first open it how many doses you've got in there, and it actually counts down. You'll find most dry powder devices have a dose counter. Not always the case with the aerosol inhalers, some don't still. So that's fluticasone. You can see this one has got the 100 written on it. So the 100 dose, you'd have 1 dose twice a day. And then there is the turbohaler. Again, we saw this with something called terbutaline or Bricanyl when I was demonstrating the short-acting bronchodilators. This one, when it contains a preventer in the turbohaler, the preventer generic name is budesonide, but when it comes in this inhaler, it's called Pulmicort. Pulmicort comes in the 100, 200 and 400 microgram doses. The most usual common starting dose for children is 100 micrograms twice a day, 12 hours apart. So in other words, 1 dose morning, 1 dose at night. Over the age of 12, 200 micrograms is usually recommended. That's 1 dose twice a day of the 200 microgram dose. So the dose itself within the molecule is increased, or if you have the 100 microgram dose, it's perfectly safe to take 2 doses morning, 2 doses in the evening, if that's what's been prescribed by your physician. So for this particular inhaler, the turbohaler, shake, unscrew it, the lid, check for foreign bodies, nothing in the mouthpiece. Dose counters on the side, and it counts down from 120 doses down to 0. The last 20 doses will be in red. Keeping it upright, turn it forward, turn it back. When it clicks, it's good to go. Ready to be inhaled. Exhale fully, inhale, and hold the breath for a count of 10. Common theme is exhale fully before inhaling any inhaler and hold the breath for a count of 10 once you've inhaled it to allow it to be absorbed in all the lung tissue. So that's common for all inhalers, whether or not they're aerosols or dry powders. They're being used in the mouth, that's how you should do it. So that is Pulmicort in an inhaled steroid in this particular device. The generic name, as I say, is budesonide, which is equal in its potency to beclometasone, the original inhaler that I showed you at the beginning. That is the brown inhaler in this device. They're what we call equipotent. They're the same potency, the same amount of steroid is in each one. Again, budesonide, which is in this one, is also in the Easyhaler. So Pulmicort is in the turbohaler. Budesonide Easyhaler is orange on the top because that's what the company have chosen to make the colour coding of their particular products. And it has a dose counter on the side, counts down from 120 doses, and this comes in the 100 microgram dose and a 200 microgram dose. So it's either 1 puff twice a day of the 100 for children under the age of 12. Over the age of 12, adults have 200 micrograms morning and evening. So you need the 200 dose and have 1 puff twice a day of that dose. Shake, take the dust cap off, just pull it, check for foreign bodies. You'll see this one's got a longer mouthpiece. That does suit some people. They prefer to put the mouth around something rather than feel that the mouth is just up against it, which it can be with this particular device. Everyone has their own preference. It's just finding the right inhaler for the right person, really. So to load this, click it once. Take the thumb off the clicker. Don't leave it on there while taking the inhaler because the medication isn't released until the button's released. Breathe in and hold the breath for a count of 10. Replace the dust cap, pop that where you're going to see it twice a day, so it can be taken twice a day. So that's budesonide Easyhaler, that's the orange top. There is a brown top one which contains beclometasone, so it's called beclometasone Easyhaler, and again that comes in the 100 and the 200 microgram dose and should be 1 or 2 puffs twice a day depending on what you've been prescribed. Fluticasone and mometasone. And that concludes the inhaled steroids for the management of asthma for anyone, whether they are children or over the age of 12.